Aloha and welcome to Mystic Wisdom Dialogues here on Kauai in the center of the Pacific Ocean with Wayne Kealohi Powell. Broadcasting from the Kapahi, we call it, which is the Kapa'a homesteads. It's a beautiful day here in Hawaii, this beautiful summer that we're having, and I'm so glad to see all of you here showing up present. We had quite a team meeting this morning. That was so inspiring to have both Lance and Hope on board. There's something about the Trinity. It reflects and exemplifies the Trinity within each of us. So I would like to start today with a meditation rather than end with a meditation, although that might happen as well. You never know what the Holy Spirit's up to. So let's get comfortable and center ourselves and start monitoring our breathing from above. Golden white light coming in, pouring in, just like when you take a shower. As you inhale into your body and you open your body, open your energy centers as you exhale love. Inhaling once again from above, we're going vertical, and exhaling into all of our 7 energy centers, opening to the transmission, the spirit channel today. Now let's feel our Trinity. Let's begin with our body. As you breathe in and exhale love into your body, your whole body, as the child in Hawaiian philosophy, the ku, the unihipili. Let's give it some love from above. And relax your body with each breath. A little bit deeper, relax a little deeper. And now let's give our uhane, our intellect, our Lono, some love. So breathe now in from above and wash or clean or clear your thought process. Just erase the past so we can be here now in this moment. Together. Everything that came before, gone. And no future in this moment. Breathe in deeply, slowly, and clear your mind. Now that takes care of our mind and body. And now let's put our attention above us to our Aumakua, our kane. Depending on which system you use, it's our higher self, our ancestors, our beloved presence that doesn't fit into our body because it's huge. Let's breathe our attention into our Aumakua, our kane, our higher self, acknowledging it for guiding us, and sharing insights, intuitive hits with us to keep our lives in balance. A couple of more breaths to our higher self. One more. Now let's let this love from our higher self overflow like a bowl of light, pouring into our intellect and our child. So this is Father above, Mother middle, child below. So all three, the Trinity of us now. Let's breathe into the Trinity as one, just like a piece of fruit. Papaya has a skin, a pulp, and a seed. As we have a higher self, an intellect, and a body. Father, Mother, child. Feel them unify as you breathe. Feel the harmony you can create by allowing all three to be present in you as a family, the family of you, the ring of plenty, the ring of light, the Trinity of yourself is present here now. Let's all say that together in first person. The Trinity of myself is here now. And breathe that in. Again, the Trinity of myself is here now. Now this time when you do it, spread your shoulders back, open your heart, and feel your wings kind of flutter when you say it. The Trinity of myself is here now, fully present. Oh yes, so much light turns to love. In fact, the feeling of love in the body is light, so much light being present that there is no shadow, there's no dark. Just like the sun, it doesn't cast a shadow. When we radiate ourselves, illuminate, when we acknowledge the light that we are, the presence that we are as God in a body, love in a body, whatever you want to call it, the beloved child, the beloved son, doesn't matter what you call it. When we acknowledge that's who we are in the present moment. We are living in the mind of God, thinking with, as, and for God, here in this human dimension. Wow. Now, that's a lot of presence. Yeah. I guess that's why we celebrate Christmas each year. A lot of presents. Okay, guys. Welcome. This is so much fun. I had an amazing week. I had some reflections I want to share with you. One specific one that came to mind was an interaction with my son. I noticed the pattern as a parent with an older child, he's 40 years old, was to leave him alone because he likes his space. He's got his own family, his wife and daughter, and he's the head of a construction crew, which in the last couple of weeks has been working double overtime. But even before that, there was this expression from him to just kind of like, play on the sideline in my life because, I'm busy kind of thing. And I'm sure this is quite common with older children that we have that are entrepreneurs or working really hard. I think it sort of begins as a teenager when we want our own identity and we don't want to be like the parents at all. We don't want to think like them. We want to best what they did in our lives and be more creative as an individual. It's just so totally practical. So, being who I am, I give my kids as much space as they need. It's just the way it is. I have a program that is like, when they want to get in touch, they will. Well, that's relatively true. But I find the only time they want to get in touch is when something really goes wrong or they want something, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's living their own life. Yet, I was watching these patterns play out between the two of us. Because I live half a block, probably not even a block away from him, my granddaughter. And it was like pulling teeth without Novocaine just to get him to come over and look at my car a couple of months ago when it would start. And he's a great mechanic. So he dragged his butt over here and opened the hood. And, this is after, several pleas. And he looks at the radiator and he goes, "Well, are you giving it water?" This is a 1920-12 Outback. And sure enough, it was thirsty as hell. But because the idiot lights on the dash were all on, I didn't pay attention to the fact that it needed water. So once again, I says, "Well, come on in, look at my digs. I've lived here 4 months and you haven't even been inside my place in a short walk from your house." No, 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 no. So I dragged him to the front door. He looked in and he goes, "Oh, nice place." Walked around, walked out and went home. So there's good reason to believe, less is more with wanting his attention. So then, the 4th of July came, and normally he's like, "Let's get together. It's a family time," right? I didn't even hear from him. And I reached out, what's going on, and no reply whatsoever. So eventually, the point of the story is it's starting to make me realize that the patterns that are running are not working. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, living close to him or even be in a body for that reason. And I know if I wasn't in a body for some crazy, thing that happened to me, that there'd probably be a lot of regret on both sides that we hadn't connected more. So I started to look at that and I thought, okay. And I strolled through all the texts for the last couple of months. And I saw one where he was expressing his anger and he was trying to manage it in regards to me. I know, he says, "I know you want a place in my life, or you need a place in my life, but I'm still holding a lot of anger about certain things." And, you know, and so primarily was his mother asking for him for gas money to give to me so I could ride her to and from things. And, I thought, okay, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen an emotional content in a text from him. So I thought, okay, well, let's try that. Maybe that's the pattern that works. So I sat down, I centered myself, and I went vertical, and I started thinking, okay, Spirit, what do you want me to say to my son that's going to wake him up to this moment? And we stop running this pattern of avoidance. Because it felt like I was being ghosted for at least a couple of weeks. And he had good reason to, he had been in a really deep hole with financially with, um, the government and stuff. And so, it just kept giving him space. So anyway, I sit down and I write this text. And I'm like, okay, we have to talk. It's just, this has gone too far. You've been ghosting me for a couple of weeks. And look, if you're still angry with me, if you're that angry, look, I'll get a gun and I'll come over and you can just shoot me and we'll be done with it, right? I wrote that in the text. And I also said what I just told you, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I don't know how long I'm going to be in a body, so, let's get this together. So after that text, a real quick response, like he always does, really short. I know he's laying on the couch, if he's not working. It's not about you, Pop. I love you. And that was the response. So I thought, okay, that's the usual response. This is still the pattern. Something's not working. But my practice is not to let anything in this dimension cause me suffering. So I changed my focus and I started to do some chores around the house, and I hear a ding on the phone. I go back and there's another text from him that says, "Hey, my daughter and all her girlfriends just left. Wife's not here. I have about an hour. If you want my help, let me know." So I went, all right, I'm on my way over. So that text triggered a crack in the patterns because I was willing to play outside the pattern, to have the courage to honor what's real and what's true in a relationship is where's the love and why is it not flowing? And then addressing that. Look, if you want to kill me, kill me. I love you that much, you know? And so I went over and sure enough, he saw that my tire was flat, you know, and he got some pail of soapy water and he found the hole. He jacked up the car, pulled the tire off, pulled this giant piece of metal out of the tire, and filled it up with air, put it back on, and it gave me a really, really good squeeze. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. You know, we chatted for a few minutes, and then we had another good hug. And then it's like, wow, yeah. And then we chatted for another few minutes, and then it was time for me to leave, and he leaps forward for a third really good squeeze. And I left there feeling so loved, like the love had returned because I honored the love, not the patterns that we were playing between us, but knowing the love between us was much greater than any pattern that was being played out on both sides. So once again, you know, there's nothing wrong with allowing patterns to play out, play into them as the player that you are, right? And being careful not to blame the other for their part in the play. That's really important. And also to acknowledge that the love is the only thing that's real behind the patterns, behind the thoughts that we're both carrying about each other, behind the thoughts of the past, behind the thoughts of the future, underneath, above, all around. There is this love that we were born to live. And it seems to me like every relationship that we have, no matter what kind of relationship, we're actually looking for this love, for how to interact with it, how to promote it, how to be it without judgment. Yeah, so that was quite a lesson because I have 3 sons, 1 down, 2 to go. That's 1 home run. I'm going to bat again as soon as I get the opportunity, that's for sure. So that was one experience that really taught me a lot this week. Yeah. Oh, good to see you, Edzard and Penelope. Wow, since we changed the time, Edzard, it must be really late where you are. Is it like 12 hours now? Or 13?
It's 20 past 10 in the evening.
Okay, yeah, 12 hours. So you're in German time. Got it. Wow. Well, if you guys have any burning questions, I'm open to that. And if not in this moment, maybe something else will trigger a question. You know, I'm in training for a radio show on KKCR. But what I mean by in training is you have to become an engineer to run the show by yourself. And that is a very technical bridge to cross. Trust me. It's, yeah. So I've been pondering, okay, does the Mystic Wisdom dialogue that I'm doing here in my place, how will it translate into the radio show called Let's Create Miracles? Because what we've done is we've arranged that this podcast will take place on the first and fourth Sunday of the month. And the radio show will take place at the same time on the same day on the second and third Sunday of the month. So it feels to me like this particular version of the transmission is more about shamanism and more about the study of A Course in Miracles and how it integrates with Ho'oponopono. So as I was contemplating this, I thought, well, I want the shows to be really different. I want them to have a different quality in them. And looking at the kkcr.org radio log of all the different jocks and the different shows, the programmer is telling me that over 70% of their broadcasts, which is 24/7, 7 days a week, is Hawaiian music. And I thought, wow, that is really cool. So I've been listening a lot lately to KKCR and see what the other jocks are doing. And noticing that there's it's very, very eclectic, the variety of shows beyond Hawaiian music is really, covers a lot of bases, a lot of different things people are into. There's country, there's jazz, there's, there's rock and roll. They have, I think, 4 or 5 hours every Saturday with the Grateful Dead show. The Grateful Dead will never die because they're so grateful. Yeah. And then Sunday, which is the day I'm on, it's a flow day where things kind of slow down. There's a lot of reggae. That's another thing. There's a lot of reggae besides Hawaiian music. A lot of Hawaiian music as well. And yeah, and I heard a pure country show yesterday with a lot of pedal steel. So the programmer, when he was looking at my show and what it's about, he says, we've never had a show like this before where, it's about, guided meditations and becoming harmonious and peaceful within your body and creating miracles. He goes, this is going to be a really good addition to the whole week that we have. And so alternately, on the weeks that I'm not on the radio at the same time that I'm on the radio, is a show called Tea with Taj. And Taj Ajur is a very good friend who kind of steered me into doing the KKCR radio show because she has a very spiritual presentation on the first and fourth Sunday of the month on KKCR. Tea with Taj. She said, there's nobody on the second and third Sunday. I think you should go apply. So I did, and I'm being trained. And it's so cool how the Sunday is a very chill, relaxed day on the radio. And so I'm guiding it into more Hawaiian because of all the Hawaiian music. I've decided to make the Let's Create Miracles more about Ho'oponopono and less about shamanism. There will be some overlay because a lot of the people coming to these podcasts or hearing them on the replay, they may wind up on a live radio show where I'm taking callers and ask questions, about all of my presentations. And that's really cool. But it's going to really give the whole spectrum of things, like between the self-identity Ho'oponopono as half of my presentation to create miracles, and then the other half, A Course in Miracles, as the more deeper dive into the psychology of Jesus and what his original teachings were about. So between the two of us, Morna Nalamoku Simeona, being the godmother of self-ID Ho'oponopono, and Yeshua being our older brother with A Course in Miracles. I think it's going to be a really nice blend in 2 weeks of this and 2 weeks of this, and then an overlapping with the different questions. It's going to be a lot of fun. And actually it's keeping me in Hawaii. This is the first summer I spent in Kauai in decades. because I love Canada so much. And Canada in the summer is so beautiful. The BC is the California of Canada. And I've always spent the summers there. I had a few summers actually in Edmonton, Alberta, but most of them were in either Victoria or just north of Vancouver on the Sunshine Coast in BC. And I was playing Hawaiian music, singing Hawaiian music, and in my favorite family restaurant. Actually, it was outside in a gazebo. I've got a really large repertoire now of Hawaiian music. My favorite songs, cover songs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I play every Saturday and Sunday at the Gumboot Restaurant in Roberts Creek on the Sunshine Coast in BC. And Dave, the owner there, he loves Hawaii. And so he honored me to be there every weekend through the summer. So this being my first summer in Kauai, it's hot. And the grace that we have from the heat is the trade winds. The trade winds are coming off the coldest ocean and the deepest ocean in the world. Actually, it's not the coldest ocean. I have swam in the English Channel, and that that froze me to the bones. So maybe it's not the coldest ocean, but it is the deepest ocean, and it is quite cool. And the trade winds come swishing over that, and I noticed that the temperature here does not go over 90 degrees. Now, I've lived in parts of LA where the temperature goes to 120 degrees, easy, with no wind. And if you don't have a built-in pool, boy, you are sweating all the time. So that makes the climate here ideal in the summer. But the place I have, it doesn't get the trade winds on the sides of the windows that I have. So inside my house right now, it's 84 and the sun's not even out. I mean, it's just a cloudy day. No, it says 85. It just went up. So in this last week, I've seen it go to 88. But you know, you could drive with the windows open and feel the trade winds, and it feels like 78. So that's kind of cool. But what's keeping me here is the idea of planting this amazing radio show, Let's Create Miracles, because it streams internationally. It's a worldwide stream. It's cable on Oahu, the neighboring island, and it's all around this island. And I think that's really good to spread the love on a much more wider scale than these podcasts. So that's keeping me here, because I think once I start that radio show and I have a few guests on board who are expert in the field of creating miracles, and I've got some good ones coming, so that's going to be really cool. That show is going to anchor me here for quite some time. And it'll all be recorded, audio recorded. I might record it visually. We'll see how that goes. It depends on my team here with Lance and Hope, if we could set that up. By the way, Lance is he's my content creator, lives in the Philippines. So all that content you're seeing from me on the platforms, that's Lance's doing. He's doing a great job. And Hope and I, we just love working with him. So there's all of that. And let me see what we got here. I think there's a few comments I can look at, perhaps questions. Okay. Do you have the link to the radio station? What's the name again? Okay. All right, Edzard. That's a good question. Yeah, it's kkcr.org. And then there'll be a button right on the home page of the website for live streaming. And it's good that you know about this, Edzard, because the variety of Hawaiian music that they play is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I had no idea. I listened to it for a couple hours while I'm driving Uber, and I had no idea how widespread, how many hundreds of thousands of Hawaiian songs there are in different genres. I mean, Hawaiian is not really a genre that sticks because in the Hawaiian music genre, there's country, there's jazz, there's folk. Um, it's really amazing, and they have a lot of classics too. Like there's a guy who was playing traditional Hawaiian music that had yesterday that was all country with a pedal steel guitar for hours. I was like blown away. So yeah, check it out because it's 12 hours difference from where you are, Edzard. So they are streaming during our week from tonight, 11 p.m. till tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., 12 hours of programmed Hawaiian music of all kinds, 5 days in a row. So that would be for you 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. It would be all day for you. And for our world, it's all night. So I think that's one reason they did that, because KKCR is funded by its listeners. And that's how we are a free radio community. And what's really cool too is this radio station is in the middle of a jungle in Honolulu. This little tiny 3-bedroom house in the middle of a jungle in Honolulu. It's amazing what they've done with it. And yeah, it's so intimate. It's so sweet to be in there. And thank God it's air conditioned. Otherwise, all the jocks would fall asleep. But it's a cave, just like most studios. Recording studios I've been in, they're caves. They're well air conditioned with lots of electronics, and it's really cool. They broadcast light into something and then out to the world. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. And so as that grows, I'll keep you posted here as to how that's going to look. But yeah, if there are any questions now, then I will read you something from one of my books of study. All right. This book is what's inspiring me to do more Hawaiian teaching on the radio show. Now, this book is out of print. It's been out of print for a long, long time. Of course, I don't think the authors are even in a body anymore. Yeah. But I think there are a few used copies floating around for about $100. When I lived on Molokai, this came out. I believe it was published in the 80s. Let me see here. Yeah, 1986 was the first edition. 87, 88, 1990, 94, 2001, 2005. Wow, there should be copies around. Wow. So anyway, the bowl of light is what I want to share with you. It's a great teaching in the Hawaiian culture to the youth, very young. And so there's a parable or a tale that they would tell the young people to impress upon them the importance of forgiveness, the importance of not carrying, the burden of judgment or resentment or blame or shame. and how to process it. So it was the belief of our family line that we had been here from the beginning of time. People had gone out from our land to the east and to the west and populated other lands. We had chants that told of such migrations from our islands. We taught by stories and parables. One of the earliest and most important to us was, quote, each child born at birth, a bowl of perfect light. Let's try that again. I left out a word. Each child born has, at birth, a bowl of perfect light. If he tends his light, it will grow in strength, and he can do all things. Swim with the sharks, fly with the birds, know and understand all things. If, however, he becomes envious or jealous, he drops a stone into his bowl of light, and some of the light goes out. Light and the stone cannot hold the same space. If he continues to put stones in the bowl of light, the light will go out and he will become a stone. A stone does not grow, nor does it move. If at any time he tires of being a stone, all he needs to do is turn the bowl upside down, and the stones will fall away and the light will grow once more. End quote. Close your eyes and breathe that in. Now see if you can connect with your own bowl of light as you breathe. Let's imagine that it's in your abdomen and the light is radiating up from your belly button into your intellect. Now, take an honest appraisal of the stones, the unforgivenesses in your bowl. And a lot of these are subconscious, unidentified perhaps, memories that have been forgotten, but the stones still remain. Undefined unforgivenesses. Now, put your palms in your lap, face up, holding the bowl of light. Keep your breath flowing. And keep pouring light, consciousness, into the bowl and see where the light from below is blocked, or the light you're pouring into it is blocked by stones. And you're going to take 3 deep breaths of compassion as you hold the bowl of stones, undefined unforgivenesses. 3 deep breaths into the bowl. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, on the next breath, I want you to turn the bowl over toward the earth and let the stones fall out on your exhale. Here we go. And then after the stones have fallen, right the bowl up again. And look how much more light there is. You have access to now without those forgotten, undefined unforgivenesses. Yay! I love these simple meditations. The stories or parables were teachings and reminders. The Maoli, that's the original peoples of Hawaii, had stories of vines, trees, seeds, fish, earth, sea and sky, the things that were common to the people and that they understood. When a child began to speak, the family began to teach him about the world of which he was a part. Quote, "Aloha is being a part of all, and all being a part of me. When there is pain, it is my pain. When there is joy, it is my joy also. I respect all that is as part of the Creator and part of me. I will not willfully harm anyone or anything. When food is needed, I will take only my need and explain why it is being taken. The earth, the sky, the sea are mine to care for, to cherish, and to protect. This is Hawaiian. This is aloha." Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Wow. I've often thought that aloha could heal the earth. And what I mean by that is not the obvious meaning of aloha. You know, I think most people know the word aloha as love. Yet love is the most misunderstood concept there is. The only time it's not being misunderstood is when we feel it in our body as holy communion with our source. Through reflection or meditation or whatever it is we've done to activate that feeling. But in its deeper application, the word aloha, forget the word aloha, the frequency of aloha, the vibration of aloha, for me, over my decades of study and practice, has become the warmest, most compassionate, parental hug for me as a child of God. Therefore, I can find aloha everywhere. I could see it in everyone's face. I could see it in a tree, candle, these cats that are smooching. Mother Mary here. This microphone. Everything in our environment was placed here for us. Everything in your environment is there for you, to serve you in some way. Even if it's just a reflection of what you're thinking. it's still in service to you. So that connection that is absolute with divinity, with Creator, God, and with creation, it has no boundaries. That connection has no boundaries. And that's a lot of love being offered to us to share with ourselves and our families. I see. I think there's a question here. Yes. The radio station is kkcr.org. kkcr.org. Streaming worldwide. Community supported. If you like what you hear, send a donation. Yeah, because there are, there's probably 50 of us volunteers that are living, keeping that radio station alive with our kokua and our aloha. Because we feel the value of it in the community, not only in Kauai, but in the world. How this little heartbeat of a radio station in the middle of the jungle in Honolulu, that heartbeat is beating all over the world. And we can tell that because when you're in the booth on the board, one of the computers is monitoring every live stream that's coming in. So if we look over to that computer, which yesterday, I love it when they do that, the jock says, oh, looky here, hey, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Ireland, Estonia. Oh, Aussie, boy, you guys, you should be asleep. What's going on there, you know? It's really cool. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And sharing my devotional presentations.
Hey Wayne, I just wanted to let you know that Mandy T said, thank you, I love you, Kealohi, on YouTube.
Thank you, Hope. Appreciate that very much. Would you send back to her, I love you too, Mandy? Or I'll catch it later. Well, it's good. People are watching on YouTube. Yeah, the deeper experience that I'm having right now, I really didn't expect. But you know, the consciousness that each one of us shares within ourselves is quite unique. I mean, it has similarities to what everyone else is thinking, for sure. You know, that's just life. Yet, each one of us has an individual soul, which is a part of the whole. And what makes it individual is our evolution. How evolved are we to be able to see through all of our projections of the world? The Course in Miracles, you know, is so clear about how, you know, we're just living this dream in the mind of God. And that's why it's meaningless, because nothing real, which is permanent, can be threatened. But everything unreal, temporary, doesn't really exist. So, what that does, if you subscribe to those two protocols of A Course in Miracles, it will erase all of your karma. It will erase every single thing you think you have done or someone else has done to hurt another. All of it. So the training in the Course in Miracles is to be able to see through the illusion of the stream, so intense, and the ego is so fully invested in making sure we do not discover that we are sharing the mind of God, that we are children, innocent children of God, having a very human experience. A very intense human experience, I might add. That's why we buy it. That's why it's so difficult to change the mind about this being an illusion. So, what I'm getting to is, yes, I know all these concepts. I've heard them forever. I never fully bought them, but as I go deeper into the material, I mean, the Course in Miracles, the new edition, it is like a college, university, undergraduate class, course, study. It is so deep into the actual workings of metaphysics and how to see through what we think everything is, to the origin, to the source of what it calls Christ. Not a person, but the Son of God as an energy that lives in every single being on the planet. And that's what was meant by only begotten Son. That he only begot one Son. Of course, the ego will put that into one person. But the metaphysical meaning behind that is that we are all the one Son, equal with our brother who went first to demonstrate that the physical body can be destroyed and it doesn't destroy the soul. The soul continues to awaken, walk out of its tomb and say, "Hallelujah, I'm alive, I'm alive." And apparently, yes, that phrase of John 3:16, "For whosoever should believeth in him," capital H, "shall have everlasting life." Him being God, him being the one Son we all are, in the mind of God, are given everlasting life when we discover what is going on behind this illusion called life on earth. Now that thought, it put me in a realm where I was able to see through some things that I was looking at into the light behind that was glowing. Like, for example, when you are in a crowd of people, and you're just looking around, really not really trying to be, super conscious or anything, You watch your mind, and the programs are so predictable. Their judgment. Oh, every time you lay your eyes on a different person, watch your mind. It has a judgment about that person. You could call it something else if you like, but if you look more careful at it, you know, they're fat, they're skinny, they're tall, they're ugly, they're beautiful, you know, whatever it is. It's a judgment, and it's shallow, and we know that. And the ego is really bent on this, because this is where our attractions and repulsions come from. When we're attracted to individuals, we look around, or we are repulsed by them when we look around. Yeah, that's the ego playing its pattern, playing its game, right? So the game that we are practicing in A Course in Miracles is when you look around, can you see every single person through, behind the judgment that you initially have? Can you see every single person as the face of Christ? As the soul, the light, the purity of their soul. Beyond what looks like a dysfunctional human, or an ugly human, or a fat human, or, you know, whatever. Same with animals or trees, you know. The spark of light that is beating their heart, that is lighting their intellect so they can have a life, even behind that, can you see the face of Christ, which is the one Son that we all are from our Father? Now, I challenge you there, because this is what Jesus did. This is what he mastered this. He was able to see the blind, the crippled, the lepers. He was able to see beyond all of those descriptions to the purity, the essence of their soul as Christ. And he would reflect that in the purity of his essence to them. He wouldn't even have to speak to them, because he would see the part of them that is whole, that needs no repair, is still alive inside them, while they're running the program of leper, cripple, blind, deaf. He would see the perfection, the wholeness inside, and reflect that to them, and they were healed. With just a few words. Stand up and walk. Open your eyes and see. Yeah. He was here to demonstrate how well the game could be played of recognizing that each of us are the Son of God, and that each of us has a part to play in bringing that home. Wow. So it wasn't at all about worshiping him. It never was. That was something that came about because the way the ego was listening to what he was saying. The ego is separation. So the ego mind is definitely going to interpret everything in the form of me, mine, you, yours, it. It's all different. It's not part of me, I'm not part of it. It's all full of projections, mirrors, delusion, and a lot of rushes of pain and pleasure. Yeah. Yeah, so to see beyond that through the delusion that is so strong into the clarity and the purity of each soul, to see beyond death, to see eternal life growing through humanity. Every soul, regardless of what their choices are. The choices are being made to evolve the soul. That's it. And as the soul evolves, it gets closer and closer to what our brother Yeshua demonstrated. To be able to see so clearly without judgment that the body's just temporary. Doesn't really matter. The only value it has is a communication device. Yeah. Whoa. An angel just got its wings. All right, my friends, the hour is up, and I actually have to get going. I got to drive to the other side of the island and pick up my next rider, who is awaiting their miracle in the back of my Uber van. I call it the Peace Wagon. Yeah. So thank you all for showing up. Penelope, Edzard, Lance, and whoever this iPhone person is. Appreciate you, and all the people on YouTube. Maddie, God bless you. And keep you safe. I hope to see you next week with more great stories of Aloha and A Course in Miracles. All right. Who is that? Who's that?
Timothy Gray, Palo Alto, California.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Great to hear from you, Penelope. Wow. You're so welcome. God bless you, brother. Okay, guys. I'm going to say ahui ho, which means until we meet again. Let's see, where is my, there it is. Where is my, there it is. Aloha, malama pono. Take good care. Ahui ho, till we meet again.